The original Action Force toy line was incredibly popular with British children in the early 80s, and the initial range consisted of 13 different 3 3/4 inch scaled military themed action figures, 4 vehicles and a large headquarters playset. The Palitoy company first produced these toys in 1982, and Action Force was so successful in its first year that the brand even outsold Star Wars toys in November of that year. Prior to 1978, the best-selling boys toy brand in Britain was Palitoy's expansive range of 12-inch Action Man figures, vehicles and outfits. But when toys based on the global smash hit movie Star Wars were introduced into the market, sales of Action Man products began falling, so Palitoy decided to reinvent the brand with a new range of toys produced in the same scale as Star Wars. And in today's very special video, we're going to take a detailed look at all the toys in the 1982 range, as well as provide a detailed insight into how Palitoy developed this line from the conceptual stage to a fully realised retail product. So stay tuned.
Come with me, toy fans.
Hello Action Force fans, my name is Tony and welcome back to the Analog Toys YouTube channel, where we're obsessed with bringing you the true history of vintage toys and action figures. The Action Force toys that were introduced in Britain in 1982 were released in 2 waves, with the first wave debuting in early summer and the second wave appearing in toy shops in October of that year. Wave 1 included the AF3 Special Patrol Vehicle, the AF5 Multi-Mission Craft, the Af7 Diving Platform complete with a Deep Sea Diver action figure, and the AF9 Snowmobile, which came packed in with a Mountain and Arctic figure. Also featured in this release were 11 carded action figures, including the German Stormtrooper, the Mission Pilot, the SAS figure, the Australian Jungle Fighter, the Commando, the US Paratrooper, the Desert Rat, the Frogman, the Ground Assault figure, and the Royal Marine. And completing the Wave 1 collection was a mail-away exclusive Action Force Commander figure, and the Action Force Headquarters playset. Now before we review these toys in detail, let's wind back the clock and see how the Action Force toy line first came to be. In February 1981, just after the Toy Fair season, the brand manager for Action Man, Mike Taylor, walked into chief designer Bob Brechin's office and explained that the Palitoy company wanted to produce a range of Action Man toys in the same scale as Star Wars action figures. Palitoy's marketing department had seen a need to head in this direction because of the popularity of Star Wars and the trend for action figures to get smaller. After 2 periods of increasing oil prices in the 1970s, the price of plastics had become more expensive. But also the Star Wars craze had turned kids more into their bedrooms for play rather than outside in the garden with the much larger vehicles of Action Man. Licensed from General Mills toy group competitor Hasbro, Action Man was still selling well in the early 80s, but there was a lot of competition from Star Wars, which was also a licensed product that instead came from Palitoy's sister company Kenner as part of the same toy group. The initial brief was to develop a series of 12 figures based on the best-selling Action Man outfits. And when Bob first heard this proposal, he asked Mike Taylor which vehicles they should include. The Land Rover, the Scorpion tank, the Pursuit craft, he asked. Mike responded by saying that they should develop 3 new vehicles, which Bob thought to be a bit strange considering they were copying existing Action Man outfits for the figures. After that initial discussion, Bob thought that if Palitoy were going to have a new range of 3 3/4 inch scaled action figures, they should take this opportunity to bring Action Man into the modern world and release themselves from the World War II thinking that inspired G.I. Joe back in the early 60s, a concept which had perpetuated at Palitoy with the production of countless more World War II styled sets. And if new vehicles were wanted, the overall styling could be harmonised. Previously, when Greg Hughes joined Palitoy as the prime Action Man designer, and Bob Brechin was taking on more of a managerial and supervisory role as the design and development department was growing, he came in with a fresh mind and saw the need for a change in emphasis and came up with his concept of the Special Team, a military unit that may be conceived for the next century. These were excellent Action Man outfits, but they sat somewhat awkwardly alongside the old historical uniforms that the line was known for. So Bob's first task was to ignore Mike's brief and sketch out 12 figures based upon the Special Team styling, adding new characters to join the Ground Assault, Underwater Assault and Arctic Assault, in the hope that Mike Taylor might change his mind when he saw Bob's design drawings. This new Special Team concept was not accepted by Palitoy's marketing, which is a real shame because they would have complemented the 3 new vehicles very well. Because marketing wanted the whole range of figures and vehicles out for launch at the January 1982 British Toy Fair, Bob and his team did not have a lot of time for development before they had to commit to tooling. Bob was tasked with developing the figures, and John Hawkes, Palitoy's Director of Design Research and Development, commissioned Raffo and Pape, a toy design company, to come up with some exciting vehicle designs. During the previous Action Man days, Palitoy held much store in the posability of the mannequin, so one early prototype example of the new Mini Action Man had bending knees and elbows. Another prototype had just bending knees and straight arms so it could sit in vehicles. Another idea was to have a figure sold with two sets of legs, one standing and one kneeling, so that they could be interchangeable. However, time was against the design department, so they eventually decided to simply copy the Star Wars figure design of 5 points of articulation. And why wouldn't they? They knew that it worked, and it was simpler and quicker than sculpting and tooling a figure with more components. A team was assembled so that individuals could concentrate on different aspects of the project to meet the prototyping and production startup in early 1982. Bob Brechin was the leader and developed a critical path schematic to ensure all aspects of the project came together at the right times, and that they met the project production date. With sketches and photographs, Bob briefed renowned sculptor Ron Cameron to produce the 12 chosen figures. Ronald Cameron graduated from the Camberwell College of Art, London in 1953 and became a professional sculptor in 1963, developing an international reputation as the master portrayer of the classical theme of the female nude figure, captured in a modern manner and designed to portray the poise and confidence of the dynamic young liberated woman. Ron's superior craftsmanship commanded great respect from his colleagues, and this was paramount in Palitoy's decision to offer him the commission to sculpt the Action Force figures. On approval, silicon rubber moulds were made so that resin and metal castings could be taken of the components for prototype making, and after cleaning up thoroughly, for passing over to tooling manager Roger Morrison to expedite the injection moulding tooling. Components from the silicon rubber moulds were assembled and decorated by designers and model makers at Palitoy to produce prototypes which were used for catalogue and packaging photos and later used for display on a diorama at Toy Fair. The initial range featured 9 action figures on blister cards and 2 figures that were sold on larger, higher price point deluxe card backs. The German Stormtrooper and the British Commando made for perfect enemies, and these figures were based on 2 of the most popular Action Man outfits ever created. The smaller scaled German Stormtrooper came equipped with a rifle, 2 grenades and an entrenching tool, while the Commando featured a Sten gun and a radio backpack complete with headset. 3 other British soldiers were available on single figure card backs in Wave 1, and these included the Royal Marine, the SAS and the Desert Rat, and I am very fond of these figures since they are based upon 3 of my favourite Action Man outfits from the Eagle Eye period. The Royal Marine is armed with a self-loading rifle and equipped with a shovel, while the SAS figure comes with an MP5 submachine gun and a rope and grappling hook. On the other hand, the Desert Fighter is armed with an M60 machine gun, and this is an odd choice, since this is an American weapon system, and the fact that these soldiers served in North Africa during World War II, in a campaign that was fought several years before the M60 had been invented. The next single-carded figure is my absolute favourite from the 1982 Action Force line, the Frogman. This figure is equipped with a pair of scuba tanks that feature an interconnected diving mask and breathing apparatus, and a pair of removable swim fins. And with his striking orange scuba suit, the Frogman is instantly iconic, and his image is the first thing that comes to mind whenever I think of Action Force. The next 2 figures in the line are the Mission Pilot, who is armed with a pistol and equipped with a flotation vest and an ammo case, and the quite rare Australian Jungle Fighter figure, who is armed with a Thompson submachine gun and a machete, and also includes a campaign hat, an accessory that can be very difficult to find today. Despite Bob's failed attempt to inspire a range of figures based on the special team, the final single-carded figure to be released in Wave 1 was one of the original Action Man special team members, the Ground Assault figure. This soldier wears a modern camouflage pattern uniform with a futuristic looking helmet, and is armed with an assault rifle and equipped with a removable backpack that features a stowaway ladder. Included in the 2 higher price blister cards were the US Paratrooper and the Mountain and Arctic figure. The US Paratrooper was another popular outfit in the Action Man range, but the big difference between the 12-inch version and the 3 3/4-inch version is that the Action Force figure includes a working parachute, an accessory that was never included with the Action Man set. The Mountain and Arctic set is a fantastic addition to the Action Force range, with the figure being somewhat of a hybrid of the Special Team Arctic Assault outfit and the Royal Marine Mountain and Arctic set. This figure comes with 2 weapons, a Sten gun and an EM2 assault rifle, either of which can be stowed atop the figure's removable backpack, with his other accessories being a pair of skis and ski poles, but the best accessory is the small snowmobile vehicle. When the mountain and Arctic figure isn't skiing, he can be found in the driver's seat of the AF9, which features a removable white antenna and has places on either side of the vehicle to store his skis when they're not in use. I have a strong nostalgic connection to the Action Force Mountain and Arctic set because I distinctly remember my parents giving me this toy after I woke up in hospital following surgery when I was around 5 years old. The final figure to be included in Wave 1 is the mail-away exclusive Action Force Commander, which was based on the ubiquitous Action Man Talking Commander, and is a figure that children could acquire by collecting a series of medals that were printed on the back of the action figure packaging. The art for this packaging was created by freelance graphic artist Dave Barnacle, who was given the task by marketing to design the packaging and logo, and the action figures would be packed into blister cards that replicated the packaging of Star Wars figures.
Come to review your Action Force, Commander?
Yes, I have.
How many will Sir be requiring for his mission?
But I am short of one British Marine.
Will he be needing transport? Or will you base him at HQ? Good luck, sir. I expect we'll be seeing you again.
Yes, and take charge of the rest of the men till I return, Sergeant!
Yes, sir!
Action Man presents new Action Force minifigures.
The three new Raffo and Pape design vehicles were the AF3 Jeep, the AF5 multi-mission craft, and the Af7 Diving Base. Raffo and Pape supplied the vehicles in prototype model form so that they could be resolved into separate parts, with component drawings completed so that Roger Morrison could obtain tooling quotations. This fleet of vehicles enabled Action Force to be transported on land, on sea, or in the air. The AF3 Special Patrol Vehicle is the day-to-day transport for the Action Force team, which converts from a rugged armoured land car into an open-topped armoured personnel carrier. In addition, the specially designed roof converts into a boat complete with outboard motor and paddle. This Jeep also includes a flip-down windscreen, a removable antenna, and a red laser cannon that can be fitted to the Jeep or mounted on the boat. When the Special Patrol Vehicle is in the armoured car mode, the outboard motor for the boat can also be stowed at the rear. The AF5 multi-mission craft is the most interesting and versatile vehicle in the range and is suitable for action on land, sea and in the air. With the flotation collar fitted, the AF5 can be utilised as an amphibious landing craft, but once the collar is removed, the AF5 converts into a two-seater, 8-wheeled land attack vehicle armed with a machine gun and 2 rockets. To convert the AF5 into flight mode, you simply flip down the seat back, position the pilot at the controls, and with the press of the button, the wings are deployed. The Af7 Diving Platform features the same flotation collar as the AF5 and comes complete with the Deep Sea Diver action figure, which was based on an Action Man outfit design that dates all the way back to the 1960s. The AF7 comes with a lot of accessories, making this toy relatively difficult to find complete today. These accessories include a removable steering wheel, the diver's hammer, an antenna, a pair of 2-piece spotlights, a breathing hose for the diver, a capture net with mounting bracket, and finally a hook and winch assembly that can be used for hauling up salvaged cargo from the seabed. The Af7 Diving Base, as designed by Raffo and Pape, is shown in its original form in the 1982 Palitoy trade catalogue, but Bob had to redesign the toy for production to meet a set price point and to make it fit the packaging. Now we get to the incredible Action Force Headquarters playset, and this toy has a very interesting history. Back when Palitoy were designing the first wave of Action Force toys, Bob Brechin felt that the line was crying out for some sort of headquarters base. Money wasn't forthcoming for anything ambitious involving expensive injection moulding tooling, but remembering the design team's work on producing the Palitoy Star Wars Death Star playset in printed card, Bob decided to work up a prototype for Action Force in the same way, and he knew he could use the plastic connecting clips from the Death Star, which were the most important mouldings. Some people say that the Action Force headquarters is simply a redesign of the Palitoy Death Star playset, but Bob rejects this claim. The Action Force headquarters only takes the principle of using card and is a completely new construction, which included the interesting feature of having a runway that pulled out flat, but when folded back it sat atop of the construction providing a landing pad. This enabled the AF5 to either take off or land conventionally along the runway, or by vertical takeoff from the rooftop pad. Bob thought that children might sit on the flat top of the headquarters, so he tested it with his own weight to ensure it stood up. After he was satisfied with the final construction, he called in Dave Barnacle to complete the decoration on the card walls and floors. The designers were allowed a small amount of money for some added plastic moulded accessories, which were moulded by Kevin Heath. Marketing approved the final prototype, so Dave completed all the artwork for production and Roger Morrison was given the go-ahead to produce some injection moulding tooling. And the finished headquarters product is a complex and intricately designed play environment for the Action Force figures to interact with. The aforementioned rooftop landing pad folds down to create a runway for the AF5, while also giving a child greater access to the inside of the playset, which features a control room on the upper floor. Adjacent to the runway is the quartermaster's store, and above that is the firing zone where you can attach one of the 2 machine gun emplacements. This firing zone also features an ammunition chute that leads to the lower floor. Continuing around the headquarters is a prisoner cell with a door that leads into the Arctic Patrol Bay, which can house the AF9. And this area also features a ladder so Action Force personnel can access the upper levels of the playset. Next up we have the combat training section, and below that is the vehicle maintenance area. A separate plastic ladder section can also be fitted between these levels and can be used to access the rooftop landing pad, or the Action Force can utilise the incorporated winch to create a zip line. To the right of the vehicle maintenance area is a hatch leading into the diver's training pool, which is nestled below the observation gallery. Despite being made from cardboard, the Action Force headquarters playset is very sturdy and quite durable, and makes for the perfect centrepiece to your Action Force collection. The inclusion of the Action Force headquarters playset completes the first wave of toys released by Palitoy in 1982. And this is how Action Force first saw the light of day. It was marketing's view that Action Force packaging should also be flagged with the Action Man logo, so that the trade and public could see that there was continuity between the 2 concepts. So it makes sense as to why Mike Taylor wanted to copy the 12 most popular Action Man outfits, although Bob Brechin is still mystified as to why he didn't want to continue that thinking and copy existing vehicles such as the Scorpion tank. The second wave of Action Force hit toy shops in October 1982, adding 6 new figures to the range. Although no new sculpts were used, with all of these characters being designed from existing action figure components. The Ground Assault figure was recoloured to become the Arctic Assault, while the Royal Marine was transformed into a British paratrooper with the use of different paint applications. The test shots shown here indicate that Palitoy was at one point planning a sailor action figure, and if further evidence is required, this image depicts a wax prototype of that figure, alongside an unproduced German staff officer. However, the eventual naval assault figure that appeared in Wave 2 utilised a combination of components taken from the Ground Assault and Commando figures. The Sas Frogman is a recolour of the orange Frogman from Wave 1, and while the helicopter pilot is a simple repaint of the mission pilot, he looks more like his Action Man counterpart than the Wave 1 pilot, who looked closer in appearance to the Red Devil parachutist, as opposed to the traditional Action Man helicopter pilot. The final figure to be released in 1982 is not actually based on an Action Man outfit. Instead, he was inspired by Bob Brechin's concept drawing for the 3 3/4 inch Special Team range, and came in the form of the Night Patrol action figure. The complete set of 1982 Action Force toys makes for a wonderful collection that displays brilliantly when incorporated into the Action Force headquarters playset. I firmly believe that Palitoy's original Action Man range is the best British toy line ever created, but having said that, I never find myself comparing Action Man to Action Force. Mini Action Man, as the designers at Palitoy knew him, is an extension of this classic toy line, and another chapter in the rich history of Palitoy. This toy line defines an era for me. From 1982 to 1984, my whole world revolved around Action Force, so it gives me great satisfaction to finally bring you this part of the story. I would also like to mention that this video would not have been possible without the kind generosity and wealth of knowledge that has been shared with me by Bob Brechin, the former manager and lead designer of Action Force. So Bob, on behalf of a grateful generation, I want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And not just for all the amazing toys you helped create over your career, but also for sharing your vast knowledge with us and your continued efforts to keep alive the history of Action Force and Palitoy. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to learn how Action Force evolved throughout 1983 and 1984, you can click the playlist right here. Or to learn about the development of the magnificent RoboSkull toy, you can click the link down here. I'm Tony from Untitled Toys, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.